At what point does the brand step in and go, right, we're opening a lawsuit against you because of you've said that this brand fits this car and we're pricing it differently? Like, at what point does that happen? We don't know.
Here's something that doesn't make sense on the surface. Mat Armstrong has spent years rebuilding Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and some of the most expensive cars on the planet, pouring hundreds of thousands of pounds into genuine parts, generating tens of millions of views for those brands, and received absolutely nothing in return. Not a phone call, not a thank you card, nothing. But then one morning a package showed up at his workshop, and it wasn't from Lamborghini or Ferrari. It was from Koenigsegg, a brand whose cars Mat has never owned, never rebuilt, never even touched with a wrench. So why them? Why now? And what does the Bugatti drama have to do with any of this? The package that broke the internet. Let's start with the moment that broke the internet. Quietly at first, and then all at once. Mat Armstrong is not the kind of guy who gets starstruck easily. He's worked on wrecked hypercars worth more than most people's houses. He's pulled engines from Lamborghini Huracans and rewired Ferrari hybrids that specialist dealerships refuse to touch. Surprises don't come easy to him. But when this particular package landed at his workshop, even he couldn't hide the reaction. It came from Ängelholm, Sweden, the hometown of Koenigsegg's factory. Inside were official branded hoodies, t-shirts, and premium merchandise. The kind of gear that doesn't show up in a retail store because Koenigsegg doesn't really do retail stores. This is a company that builds somewhere between 20 and 35 cars per year. For context, Toyota produces that same number roughly every few seconds. Koenigsegg merchandise isn't something you stumble across on Amazon. It's the kind of thing that ends up in the hands of billionaires who've just taken delivery of a £2 million hypercar. And yet, there it was, sitting in Mat's workshop, addressed to a guy who had never purchased, rebuilt, or even featured a Koenigsegg on his channel. To understand why that's so strange, consider how Koenigsegg actually operates. They don't run influencer gifting programs. They don't send PR packages to automotive channels hoping for a mention. Their communications team is tiny by industry standards, and every decision they make externally is deliberate. When Ferrari or Lamborghini send merchandise to creators, it's part of a structured marketing pipeline. When Koenigsegg does it, it means someone inside that factory made a specific individual decision to reach out to a specific person. That distinction matters enormously. But here's the part that really got people talking. It wasn't just the merchandise. Tucked inside was a handwritten note. And the message wasn't a sales pitch or a sponsorship proposal. It was something far more deliberate. It told Mat to watch some videos. Specific ones. Which means someone in that factory in Sweden had already been watching his. That detail alone changes the entire story. This wasn't a PR intern ticking boxes on a list. This was a calculated, intentional reach out from one of the most secretive and selective car manufacturers on Earth. And the timing of it, coming off the back of the Bugatti situation, made it land very differently than it might have 6 months earlier. What the Bugatti drama actually revealed. Before we get into why Koenigsegg's move matters so much, you need to understand the atmosphere Mat was operating in when that package arrived. Because something had just happened in the automotive world that shook a lot of creators and enthusiasts. The Bugatti drama. Now, the full story here is layered. Bugatti, as a brand, has long operated with a level of exclusivity that borders on hostile. They are famously protective of who can own their cars, who can service them, and who gets anywhere near their engineering. There have been well-documented cases of Bugatti exercising what's called a right of first refusal. Essentially, if an owner wants to sell their car, Bugatti can step in and block certain buyers they deem unworthy of the brand. It's the automotive equivalent of a private members club that decides who gets in based on criteria they don't fully publish. The drama that unfolded publicly involved a high-profile case where a content creator, someone with a massive audience and genuine passion for the car, was essentially pushed out of the picture. The details varied depending on where you read it, but the core message was consistent. Certain legacy brands view independent creators and rebuilders not as ambassadors, but as threats to their carefully constructed image. For Mat Armstrong, this wasn't abstract. He'd been living a version of this story for years. He spent significant money purchasing a crashed Lamborghini Reventon, one of only 21 ever made, and poured enormous resources into restoring it. The parts alone cost a fortune. The attention it brought to Lamborghini's engineering was enormous. And the brand's response? Silence. The same story played out with Ferrari. Mat had been deep in the process of rebuilding a Ferrari 296 GTB, a car that even Ferrari-certified technicians had reportedly struggled with, and was doing it on camera for millions of people to watch, with genuine OEM components sourced at great cost. Neither brand reached out. Neither acknowledged what he was doing. And in the wake of the Bugatti situation, that silence felt louder than ever. This is the context in which Koenigsegg's package arrived. It wasn't just a box of merchandise. It was a signal, sent at exactly the right moment, that said, "We see you, and we're not like them." Why Koenigsegg made this move, and why it was calculated. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because what Koenigsegg did wasn't random. There is a very deliberate philosophy behind the way this company operates, and once you understand it, the package makes complete sense. Christian von Koenigsegg founded his company in 1994 with essentially no backing, no inherited automotive empire, and no formal engineering degree. He was 22 years old and decided he wanted to build the fastest car in the world. What he created over the following 3 decades wasn't just a hypercar company. It was one of the most innovative engineering organizations on the planet. Koenigsegg holds multiple world records. They developed the free-valve engine technology, which eliminates the traditional camshaft entirely. They created the Jesko Absolute, a car theoretically capable of 330 miles per hour. They invented a transmission called the light-speed transmission, which can shift gears faster than any other gearbox in existence. The point is, Koenigsegg is not a brand that operates on legacy and reputation alone. They are genuinely obsessed with engineering, and Christian von Koenigsegg himself is famous for being unusually accessible. He does interviews. He explains technology. He gets excited talking about tolerances and thermodynamics in a way that most CEOs of luxury brands simply don't. He is in many ways the automotive equivalent of the guy who just really loves what he does and wants other people to love it too. When that lens is applied to Mat Armstrong's channel, the connection becomes obvious. Mat is not a guy who makes videos about how fast a car feels or how luxurious the seats are. He gets underneath it. He talks about how the gearbox is engineered, how the carbon tub is constructed, how the electronics are mapped. His audience, over 5 million subscribers at the time of the package, are people who want to understand cars, not just be impressed by them. That is exactly the audience Koenigsegg wants. The note in the box asking Mat to watch specific videos suggests that Koenigsegg's team had identified particular content they wanted him to see. Almost certainly their engineering breakdowns, their manufacturing process videos, or content about their core technologies. They weren't pitching him a car. They were showing him what they're made of and inviting him to be curious. That's a very different kind of outreach. And for a brand that produces fewer than 40 cars a year, that kind of targeted, relationship-driven marketing is worth infinitely more than a television advertisement.
Mat's history with the big brands, and why the contrast stings. To really feel the weight of what Koenigsegg did, you have to spend some time with what the other brands didn't do. Because Mat Armstrong's relationship with Lamborghini and Ferrari isn't just a casual one. He has arguably done more for public perception of those brands among younger audiences than their entire marketing departments have in the same period. Start with the Lamborghini Reventon. Only 21 of these were ever built, making it one of the rarest Lamborghinis in existence. Mat acquired a damaged example and committed to a full restoration, sourcing genuine factory parts, documenting every step, and bringing millions of viewers along for the process. The cost involved was substantial, not just financially but in time and complexity. This is not a car with an easy parts supply chain. Every component required significant effort to track down and authenticate. Then there's the Aventador, another Lamborghini flagship that Mat brought back from what many would have considered a terminal condition. And the Ferrari 296 GTB, a hybrid hypercar that sits at the cutting edge of Ferrari's road car technology, which Mat was in the middle of rebuilding on camera, a project that had attracted enormous viewer interest. These are not cheap builds. These are not quick turnaround flip projects. These are long-form restoration commitments that require genuine expertise, genuine investment, and genuine respect for the engineering. And in every single case, the manufacturers whose cars were being celebrated, explained, and saved from the scrap heap said nothing. No acknowledgement. No collaboration offer. No parts discount. No invitation to the factory. Not even a social media share. And it's worth being clear about why. The Italian supercar brands operate with an image architecture that is deeply rooted in exclusivity through scarcity, not just of the cars, but of the experience. A car being stripped down and rebuilt in a YouTube workshop, however skillfully, doesn't sit comfortably within that image. It demystifies the product. It shows the nuts and bolts. And for brands that have spent decades cultivating an almost mythological status, that's complicated. Koenigsegg has no such hang-up. Their engineers post teardown videos themselves. Christian von Koenigsegg has sat in front of a camera and explained, in granular detail, how their technology works. They're not afraid of being understood. In fact, they seem to actively want it. That cultural difference between brands that protect mystery and a brand that celebrates transparency is at the heart of why Koenigsegg made the move that Lamborghini and Ferrari never did.
What comes next? The 3 stages of what this could become. Now we get to the part that has the automotive community genuinely excited. Because a box of merchandise is just the beginning. If you read what Koenigsegg actually did here, the specific note, the curated content recommendation, the deliberate timing, this is a relationship being constructed in stages. And when you map out where it could go, the scale of it becomes clear. The first stage is the one that's already happened. Contact has been made. Koenigsegg knows Mat's work. Mat now knows that Koenigsegg is paying attention. That's the foundation. But the natural next step, and the one most people in the community are waiting for, is a visit to Angelholm. The Koenigsegg factory is not like other car factories. It is a converted military air base in the south of Sweden, and it operates more like a bespoke workshop than an industrial plant. Every single car is assembled by hand. The workforce is small. The tolerances are extraordinary. A video of Mat Armstrong walking through that facility, seeing how the carbon fiber monocoques are laid up, how the engines are assembled, sitting down with Christian von Koenigsegg to go deep on the light-speed transmission or the free valve system, would be unlike anything the automotive YouTube space has produced. It would not just perform well. It would become a reference point. The second stage is a drive experience. Mat has driven fast cars. He's been behind the wheel of some genuinely quick machinery, but he has never experienced Koenigsegg-level performance. The Jesko Absolute has a theoretical top speed that no road car has ever reached in testing. The Regera, a hybrid hypercar with over 1,500 horsepower, accelerates with a violence that even experienced drivers find difficult to process. A video documenting Mat's first experience of that kind of performance, in the context of his technical understanding of how it's achieved, would be extraordinary content. And Koenigsegg would know that. The third stage, the one that would genuinely change things, is a build project. It sounds ambitious, but it's not impossible. Koenigsegg has, in the past, been unusually open about their engineering. If a situation arose where a damaged or development example became available, and Koenigsegg chose to involve Mat in documenting a rebuild, supplying technical data, providing factory access, allowing the process to be shown, it would be unprecedented in the history of automotive content. It would also, almost incidentally, destroy the culture of manufacturer blacklisting that has frustrated independent creators and rebuilders for years. What's worth noting is that Koenigsegg has already shown a willingness to let outsiders into their world in ways that other manufacturers simply won't. Christian von Koenigsegg has appeared on engineering-focused podcasts and channels, explaining technical details that most car executives would never go near publicly. That precedent matters. It means the factory visit, the drive experience, the build project. None of these are as far-fetched as they might sound when you're talking about Lamborghini or Ferrari. With Koenigsegg, the door isn't just cracked open. It's been opening gradually for years, and this package feels like an invitation to walk through it. None of this is confirmed, but none of it is fantasy either. The package was real. The note was real. And the pattern of how Koenigsegg operates as a company suggests that they don't do things without intention. The bigger picture. Step back from the details for a moment and look at what's actually happening here, because it's bigger than one creator receiving a box of merchandise. The automotive industry is in the middle of a significant cultural shift. The traditional gatekeepers, The manufacturers, the glossy magazines, the official press fleets no longer hold the monopoly on how cars are understood and appreciated by the public. YouTube channels like Mat Armstrong's have built audiences that rival or exceed the readership of major automotive publications. And those audiences are not passive. They're technically engaged, deeply loyal, and genuinely influential in shaping how people feel about car brands. The brands that understand this early are positioning themselves for a significant advantage. Koenigsegg, despite, or perhaps because of their extreme exclusivity as a product, has clearly understood it. They're not trying to put a Koenigsegg in every driveway. They never will. Their entire business model is built on scarcity. But they absolutely want millions of people who will never own a Koenigsegg to think about the brand, talk about the brand, and feel something about the brand. And the most efficient way to achieve that, in 2024, is through creators like Mat Armstrong. What makes this moment particularly significant is the contrast it draws with the legacy brands. Lamborghini and Ferrari have combined revenues in the billions. They have marketing budgets that dwarf Koenigsegg's entire annual turnover. And yet it was Koenigsegg, a company that employs a fraction of the staff, builds a fraction of the cars, and operates on a fraction of the budget, that made the smartest move in automotive creator relations this year. Consider what Koenigsegg actually spent to make this happen. A few hoodies, a couple of t-shirts, a handwritten note. The total cost of that package was probably less than £100. And in return, they have generated thousands of hours of community discussion, social media commentary, and genuine brand curiosity among an audience of millions. No marketing agency on earth delivers that kind of return on investment. This is what it looks like when a brand understands the current landscape intuitively rather than through a corporate strategy deck. It's not a campaign, it's a relationship. And relationships, as any business person will tell you, are worth more in the long run than any advertisement. There's also a message in this for anyone who has ever felt overlooked by the institutions or industries they've poured their energy into. Mat Armstrong didn't campaign for recognition. He didn't post about being ignored. He just kept building, kept documenting, kept being genuinely good at what he does. And eventually the right people noticed. Not the ones he'd been working alongside for years, but someone watching from across the North Sea who recognized what he was doing for what it actually was. Whether this becomes a full-blown collaboration, a factory visit, a drive experience, or something none of us has imagined yet, that story is still being written. But the first page was a box from Angel Home with a note that said, "Watch these videos." And in the context of everything else that had been happening in the automotive creator world, that quiet gesture said more than any press release ever could. The brands you support most aren't always the ones who show up for you, but do exceptional work long enough, and the right ones will find you. Now, here's where we want to hear from you. Some people look at what Koenigsegg did and see a genuinely rare thing in the automotive industry, a manufacturer that actually respects what independent creators do. A company that understands that the future of brand building isn't billboards or press launches. It's trust, built one authentic interaction at a time. But others look at the exact same story and see something more calculated. A small brand with a tiny marketing budget making a very smart, very deliberate play to attach themselves to a creator with 5 million subscribers and a rapidly growing audience. Friendly, yes, but ultimately a business move dressed up as a gesture. And here's the honest truth. Both readings are probably correct. The question is which one matters more to you. So here's what we want to know. Do you think Koenigsegg genuinely respects Mat Armstrong and what he's built? Or do you think this is simply the smartest low-cost marketing move in the automotive space right now? And the goodwill is just a bonus? Drop your answer in the comments. And while you're there, tell us this. If Mat does eventually get a Koenigsegg into that workshop, which car do you want to see him take apart? Because that conversation is coming. The only question is when. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. For more interesting stories like this, be sure to click on the next video that pops up on your screen. You never know what you'll discover next.